what is a micro commitment? You want to tackle this, Chris? You want me to do it?
I'll give you some examples of what micro commitments. Is that cool?
Yeah, go ahead.
Anytime you ask someone like a small favor of someone in order to follow your process, that's a micro commitment. You're kind of gauging their seriousness going forward with you. We have a survey here. We say, hey, fill out the survey. Come back to us and fill out the survey. It's going to help you out. It's going to help us out. But we're kind of gauging how committed they are. Sometimes with a video, hey, watch this video. We'll come back. Sometimes it's even, I hear people giving those assignment selling sometimes. Hey, this book, this podcast, this video is going to explain it way better than I ever could. Check out that video. Let's reconvene later on. So that's kind of a micro commitment in my mind.
So those are very specific examples of how we do it ourselves. What the psychology behind this is people want to remain consistent, right? They want to, if they take an action, they don't want to necessarily then go back on that action. So it's like if you walk into a restaurant and you sit down and you look at the menu and you realize you don't really like any of the food, more times than not, you're just going to stay there and suck it up because you've already gone through it. You don't want to go back on your word, if you will. So you just stay. And you can use a lot of these principles in your sales and your growth, because the more that you can get people to commit to little things, right? Now, we're not saying big things. We're saying these are all very little things here. The more that they are going to buy into you and buy into your process. And on the flip side, if they don't, if they say, nah, not worth it, I'm not doing that, well, that is a good way to weed them out without going through the full song and dance. We're asking for little things up front to get them to buy into us, and it shows them we have a system, and it shows us that they're a little bit more serious than somebody who's not going to do this.
So when I hear that, I kind of have a question, and the question that kind of comes up is, when I talk to a couple of different contractors, there's some 3D imaging, for kitchens or outdoor living spaces and things like that. And everyone I kind of speak to, they say, once I talk to my client and I have presented them some of this 3D imaging, they always go forward with me.
Right.
Does that have anything at all to do with that micro commitment that you're kind of talking about?
So that's a larger commitment. So what we're talking about here, and what you're referring to, is it's called the foot in the door. Do you know where that comes from, the history of that?
I know about doors and feet, but not necessarily
okay.
the foot
How it all works?
Yeah.
It used to be called hand in the door. No. So it stems from magazine salesmen. And what they found out was that when they would knock on the door, this is back when it was all door to door, and they would put their foot in like the doorway, people were less likely to shut the door on them.
Gotcha. So once they get their foot in the threshold, then it's game on.
And what my old sales manager used to do this back at Indeed. He used to sell security systems, and he knew if he could physically get his way into somebody's home, that they were going to buy, because it would show you mess up. And I don't mean like he would kick in the glass and jump in. He would talk his way into the home, and the way that he would do it is he would go, oh, wow, like, you see that back door over there? Like that would be, and then he would just start walking in. And if they said, whoa, get out, then he wasn't going to do it. But if he got his way in the door, he was good. So he knew for him, once he got in there, he was solid. And that's kind of what you're talking about here with the design. We're going smaller scale earlier on. Gotcha. Meaning, and that's a fantastic way of doing things, right? Of if you're design build, getting people to commit to a design first, because it's an easier pill to swallow. One of the biggest fears people have with contractors is that they are not going to communicate well or whatever it is, and people just want to kind of dip their toe in with you the same way that a lot of you want to dip your toe in with a marketing company. You don't want to jump all in because what if you get screwed over? Well, this is your chance as a contractor to show them you're legit, you can do a design, you've got a process that you follow, all those little things. But even before then, we're talking little things here. And this is one of the things that we do a lot of, and you guys probably do a lot of too. You just don't realize it. It's something along the lines of, if somebody calls you, says, hey, I want to get a quote, before you just drive in your truck and go out there, you say, hey, do me a favor. Hop on my website, check it out, make sure that what we can do or what we do is something that you're looking for, and then go ahead and fill out a form there and I'll give you a call back. That is the micro commitment, because people that are just kind of passively thinking about this, that just want an estimate, if you just drop everything and boom, going out there, you're wasting all that time. You're in trouble because you don't know how serious they are. But if they go through the site, if they fill out the form, if they go through all that stuff that you're asking them to, it A, shows that they're committed, and B, you know that your site, which should be a pre-qualifying tool and a sales tool in itself, you know they're going to come back to you in a better frame of mind.
Okay, it makes sense. So what you're saying is, if I now get a micro commitment from someone, I've now got them more invested.
Correct.
I have equity now with this client.
Correct.
Because I mean, I'll kind of say it myself as well. You know, when you have already spent the time with a salesperson, you know, I bought a engagement ring pretty recently, and I went to Diamonds Direct first and foremost. And when I went there, I had a great experience. And to be candid with you right now, I have no idea price-wise how the price of the ring that I purchased compares to other diamonds of the same, quality. I didn't really do too much research afterwards. I had a kind of good understanding, but they gave me such a good experience that I didn't want to go anywhere else, right? So I had already committed to that.
Correct.
Their micro commitment was, hey, take this pamphlet, look at stuff, and then we can have a conversation afterwards. So it totally makes sense. I get to see it in my own life, quite often, and even outside the contracting world as well.
And it's tough to come up with ways to do this if it's not natural for you. If you're used to not necessarily having a process, if you're used to just kind of following the customer's process, then you're probably doing the runaround all day. You're dealing with people that are not going to be your right fit and whether they don't do it maliciously, it's just that in their mind, they have a way of doing things. We all have our own convictions. We all have our own in our head. This is how this should go. And even if we're totally off, if the other person, aka the contractor, doesn't kind of put their foot down and kind of guide us in the right direction, then we're going to assume that either maybe this is not the right fit of person for me, or B, maybe my way is better than their way. They just don't realize it. So I'm going to stick to my own guns. So by having these little asks out of people, they're not crazy, they're not over the top, it's just stuff that it shows them we have a system, and it shows us that we have somebody who's actually wants to get this thing done. And you could kind of look at some of the other things of like a consultation fee, right? A consultation fee to me that's a commitment. That's a larger scale commitment, because now we're actually exchanging money here. But I'm talking about the little things beforehand, because before you even get to the point of talking about a consultation fee, if they're not willing to, and I know in the CSA, they're big on, hey, send over some pictures so we can look at the project. Because what used to happen to my dad was he would talk to somebody over the phone, and they would say like, oh yeah, I've got these some small rocks that we need to have moved. And he gets over there, and these small rocks are 4,000 pounds each, right? That's not longer small. Small is like he can kick them over and he's good. So he started asking for people to send him over pictures so he could understand when they say small rocks, what the hell does small rocks really mean? And the people that go, I don't really want to send over pictures. Well, if they're not going to send over pictures, and you're, let's say, a kitchen remodeler, how likely is it for them to then also spend $75,000?
Yeah. So I guess what I'm hearing right now is that things that I didn't necessarily even think of as micro commitments are probably micro commitments. Asking someone to hop on your calendar.
Yep, that's a micro commitment.
Asking someone to fill out a form, micro commitment. Asking someone, hey, can we schedule a call?
Yep.
Micro commitment. So you're kind of gauging and I see right now the value that a micro commitment has for your business.